Welcome to episode 25 of the Sports Geek podcast. On today's episode, we'll look at Twitter. Now it's public. What does that mean for sports? And we'll find out how the Columbus Blue Jackets get 25% new data from digital promotions.
Welcome to the Sports Geek podcast, the podcast built for sports digital and sports business professionals. And now, here's your host, with 2 podcasts ranked in iTunes, Sean Callanan.
Thank you very much, DJ Joel. That's right, my name is Sean Callanan from Sports Geek, and you are listening to the Sports Geek podcast. The other podcast that DJ Joel is referring to is my side project, Beers, Blokes and Business podcast, where I get a few of my mates together. We have a few beers and we discuss business topics, and it's going very well. It's currently ranked in the top 5 in the business podcast in the Australian iTunes store, so please give it a listen. The 2 podcasts combined, we've got over 15,000 downloads, so very much thankful for the support, and this being a little bit of a milestone, reaching 25 episodes, and I'll go into a little bit more thanks later in the episode, but a big thanks for everyone who's listening and who's shared it, and definitely a big thanks to the people who have been on the show. On today's episode, we chat with Francis on ABC Grandstand about the Twitter IPO and what it means for the sports fan and what it means for the sports teams, how it does change the focus of Twitter, and then looking at a little bit about digital strategy and some of the focus that teams have around digital and how they can leverage their social platforms and what their goals are trying to achieve in what you're trying to do in a digital space. Later on in the episode, I chat with Jeff Eldersveld from the Columbus Blue Jackets about his work as in CRM and data analytics, and how he's using a product called Ticketnet to attract, as I said there in the opener, 25% new data from digital promotions. So we talk through how he uses Ticketnet as a product and why he loves it so much. Later on in the episode, we look at our new segment, Social Media Post of the Week, the regular stuff, Sounds of the Game, and also, like I said, looking back on 25 episodes. But here's our chat with Francis on ABC Grandstand.
Sean Callanan, the Digital Sports Geek, is with us on a Saturday morning talking sport in the digital age and Twitter. I wonder if he got his Twitter shares at a good price yesterday as they floated on the New York Stock Exchange for the first time.
No, unfortunately, yeah. Not too many people outside those inside Twitter HQ and all the initial investors. There was a bit of a lockout from a public point of view, but
they hit a fairly high price. They doubled in value pretty quickly, and then the market moderated soon after that. Yeah,
they opened it. I think it was at $26, and they peaked at just over $50, and I think they stopped just a bit under $45 in the end, which seems to be a bit usual for real hot
blue sky tech shot.
Yeah, for that Web 2.0. You throw out all those web savvy tech startups. There was a stack of hype, and Twitter were doing everything they could to be really appealing to investors. Facebook did very similar 12 months ago, where they opened and had a really big boom on the first day, and then tanked is probably not the right word, but they course corrected and came back. So there's probably, I'm not a stock analyst by any means, but there's probably a case that they will come back a little bit to the market and see where it goes from there. And
it'll be interesting, the dynamic, what it means for the short messaging service itself, because now it is driven to make a profit because it has shareholders, and it will mean some modification to what's been offered on Twitter so far.
And we've already seen some of that in the lead up to the IPO. So, they've obviously got to have a means to make money. That's part of being a public company, and that's what shareholders want. They haven't done that as yet. Still losing a lot of money because there is a lot of investment in, I guess, R&D and methods to advertise. They've recently, just in the last couple of weeks, changed the Twitter app. I don't know if you've updated the Twitter app, and it's at a real change in that now photos are automatically in your feed. So if you're sharing a photo,
so you get a preview of it, don't you?
You get a preview of it, or if you shape your photo the right way, you can see the whole photo. It's sort of in that widescreen strip type format. And it's a little bit strange. Like we had Twitter out here last year sort of introduced themselves to the Australian market, and I think one of the things that Mike said when talking about Twitter is, Twitter's not about sharing photos. That's what you go to Facebook for. Twitter is about conversation.
And here we are.
And here we are. It has changed a little bit in that it is becoming more Facebook-like in that it's showing a lot of pictures. Part of me likes it to see a bit of colour in my feed, but then there's also it does take it away from it's a conversation. People are using it differently. Some people are broadcasting and consuming a lot of content, but yeah, they've made some changes, and obviously they're putting those pictures in is better for them at an ad point of view. So if you're producing a tweet that you want to promote and you want it to be highly visual and attract the eye, it sort of fits better with an image. So so they've made some changes in that space, even changes to the user interface, or the UI, as you would say in the app world, of making it very easy to follow someone that's just been retweeted. So you'll see now that if you retweet an athlete or a news journalist or someone, and other people see it, I go, oh, Francis retweets that. There's a little button there, follow that person, and you can do it with one click. You don't have to click the link, look at the person, look at their profile. Like, they've removed 3 clicks to do that. I think that's a really good move, because that promotes growth. Because I think there was a little bit of stagnant growth there, where once you've found the people you want to find and you're happy with your feed, there wasn't much to go, and I'm going to go get more people in. And I think Twitter's main thing, as well as advertising, is to really become mass market and actually grow the amount of people using Twitter and on Twitter. I think that's one of the key things they're going to have to look at in the next 12 months. So I expect a lot of promotion outside of Twitter. And
for fans and sports organisations, they have to adapt and change as well.
Yeah, I mean, it does. One of the things that we've been doing the last couple of weeks is sort of been in review mode a little bit of the season from the winter season's point of view, but also then looking forward on what they're trying to do. Over the past 18 months, 2 years, speaking to people like Richard Clark from Arsenal last week, a lot of the sports clubs, initially with all these platforms coming out, were about building awareness of their platforms, building awareness of their teams, reaching and engaging their fans, and really being in that pure engagement play and building up their audiences. And they're doing that on all the different networks because it drives traffic back to their site. And now as that develops, then the next part of it is converting those fans. And converting means different things to different people. It can be converting them into email subscribers. Again, Arsenal do that really well with their digital membership. You sign up and you get access to a lot of content, so they've got now a way to communicate with you. But then there's other conversions of ticket sales, memberships, merchandise sales, those kind of things, which start putting a bottom line figure on what you're doing from a digital point of view.
And the challenge is for sports organisations in particular that the bar has been raised so significantly for sports fans as to what they expect from their clubs or organisations because of the technology. They want that personal touch now. It's assumed that it's provided. So therefore you have to meet the standard required, or else you are not going to get a slice of the action.
Yeah, definitely. And that sort of also, gets to the point of, do teams move into this space of digital memberships that get paid for, the pay for content, the concept of paywalls, and we're seeing, media companies move down that path of, we're going to make you pay for this content. Can sports move into that realm, or are we already in that space where it's an expected delivery of sports fans?
Well, some of the bigger clubs like Arsenal and Manchester United, you do pay for it. You pay to get behind the paywall, but I think the quality and content of material delivered justifies that. The AFL and the NRL haven't gone down that path yet, have they? Though you can subscribe for live streaming. If you're a fan of the club, you don't have to pay to read the latest news necessarily, or watch a video of your coach being interviewed. Yeah,
so they're starting to, from a local point of view, AFL, NRL, they're starting to sort of push into those digital sort of memberships, but it's more likely an add-on to a current membership, and maybe it's a more member-exclusive type of content, and so there will be a low form, but there's nothing quite like if we're looking at the EPL and that kind of thing, which is really tied into the match content, but then also the extra content that they produce.
Because if you are going to ask people to pay, you sure as hell better deliver a higher end product, and that's going to cost a lot more to produce.
Yeah, and that's the conundrum, I guess, that all teams and that are looking at. It's like, well, how many resources do we put in to put a program like this that we need to? And the bar is set very high, so the costs come with that of producing their content to how much revenue can come in. So that's the balancing act, but that's that's part of what they're trying to do from a conversion point of view. And then the other part of the equation is to retain the people you have got.
And how quickly you can get it out there to people too.
Yeah, exactly. Timeliness, social media definitely is this breaking news space. So, you need to be able to work out a way to make sure that you're getting it out there in a timely manner so people can consume it, especially around, big events and big opportunities.
Where can people find you?
SportsGeekHQ.com or SportsGeek on most platforms. If I'm not there, tell me.
You'll be there soon enough. Sean Callanan with us here, the digital sports guru here on Grandstand Breakfast.
Sign up for Sports Geek News at sportsgeekhq.com/sign up now.
Yes, and if you haven't signed up for the Sports Geek News, it's had a recent relaunch. We've done, I think it's 5 emails in a row, keeping to their commitment of doing it every single week. So if you missed a tweet or a link that I might share on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn, you get a good wrap-up of all the key articles that I think you should be reading. So just go to those links and sign up, and thank you for the feedback for the people who have been reading it. As long as it's providing use, I will keep doing it. One thing sort of going on from the discussion with Francis there about strategy and where it's all heading, I was lucky enough to go to an event, Australian Digital Summit this week, where they had a couple of guest speakers, and 2 of those guest speakers were Robert Scoble and Shail Israel, and they were talking about their new book, Age of Context. I've only given it a quick read, but I'll definitely be giving it a full read and give a bit of a review on a future podcast. But if you can grab a copy, I highly suggest. One of the key takeaways for me in this new Age of Context were the 5 forces that they explained, and they were mobile, social, data, sensors, and location. And I think it's something to really be mindful of how the world is changing and how things like we are becoming more mobile. We're using mobiles far more often. Sensors are now becoming part of our life in that they are tracking what we're doing, whether it be a fuel band or a Fitbit, but even the fact that we've now got that iBeacon in the iPhone, it can track where you are, and there's some sports teams looking to leverage that. I know the Major League Baseball advanced media guys are looking at that. So, where does that fit in sports? And how can you do it? And there's a lot of that personalisation that Francis was talking about, both from a customer service point of view, but also we want to get that information in the right context. So how can you be presenting your content to your fans in a manner that they're in a spot where they are ready to consume it? So that's one of the takeaways I took from Robert and Charles' book and what they were speaking about. But yeah, I think that's where the next evolution of, especially from a mobile app point of view, we know that more traffic is going to the mobile. We know fans are highly social and looking to share. So yeah, those 5 forces really reinforced my point of view of where the sports digital space is headed. And it is very mobile focused. And I do think having the location side of things, being location aware, did see it seat a couple of the people demonstrating their apps, the guys at the Brooklyn Nets, how their app is location aware and the functionality changes. Same with the guys at Sporting Innovations with their Fan 360 app, and the fact that it knew at Sporting KC where you were in the stadium. I think that is where we're heading, and making our sports information effectively a utility for our fans, so they just see that it is needed. It's part of what they do. They look it up to find out where the game is, how to get tickets, what the traffic's like. I think that's where we're headed. Up next, I was lucky enough to get an interview with Jeff Eldersfeld from the Columbus Blue Jackets via Dave Jolene from Days of Logic. I know Dave from Seat, and he's got a product called Ticketnet. And rather than talk to Dave, I thought I'd talk to one of his clients. I really like Ticketnet as a product. I call it social Amway, but I'll get into that with the interview with Jeff. He's in CRM and data analytics, and he looks at how they use Ticketnet to increase their database and increase their sales leads to sell tickets, to get one of the classic things that we need to do, get bums on seats. So here's my interview with Jeff Eldersveld from the Columbus Blue Jackets in the NHL. I want to welcome to the Sports Geek podcast Jeff Eldersveld from the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's the Director of CRM and Analytics at the Columbus Blue Jackets in the NHL. Welcome to the podcast, Jeff.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you having me.
First of all, tell us a little bit about, your role and what you do at the Blue Jackets.
Well, I'm the Director of CRM and Analytics, like you said, and I think the main duties that I do on a regular basis would be we have a Microsoft CRM database, so it's managing the content, customers, prospects, any sets of data, managing that on a regular basis, and positioning it in a way through reports and things like that to our management and our sales reps so that we can be in a better position to sell tickets.
And you've been at the Blue Jackets for nearly 4 years now?
Yes. Actually, it'll be 3 years in December. Before that, I was with the LA Clippers for roughly 4 years. And
so as part of, data and analytics being obviously major part of your role, that is your title. One of the challenges that most teams face is getting new data. Like there's a lot of opportunity to connect with your current fan base via social media and things like that. But one of the challenges is trying to get that fresh data and new sales leads. So is that something that you're always focused on?
Yes, definitely. I think that there's, the Columbus DMA is about 1.9 million people. And we've only got a subset of that within our database. So one of our number one goals that we have every year is to expand our reach and really identify new customers and identify those folks and how we can get them into our database. So one of the things that I do along with the data and analytics is really analyze sources of data that we have and then the percentage of new customers that we get from those sets of data, and then consequently, did we sell to those new customers as well?
One thing I did want to talk to you about, and I was introduced to you by Dave Jolene, and that you use their product Ticketnet to attract new leads in a few different ways. Do you want to tell us how you guys use Ticketnet?
Sure. Yeah, that's a huge catalyst for us as far as really identifying new customers and expanding our database. We might average, if we do enter to wins or certain contests within our own elements with people that are on our website or email and enter to wins and things like that, we'll average maybe 5 to 10% new. But with Dave's product, what we've really liked from it is when we do a contest with his, it's typically upwards of 25 to 30% new people in our database. So I feel like we can't use this product enough just for that reason, because it really allows quick, accurate, and timely data capture. And then we can take that data and essentially do a little bit of manipulation just so that it can fit into our database. But, it goes from submitting one day and then really analyzing it the next, and then hopefully giving it to our sales reps within a matter of days. So from contest to a phone call, it's a pretty quick turnaround to our reps.
So just for the people on the podcast to give a bit of a 140 recap of what Ticketnet is, I like to call it a little bit like a social Amway, in that you would do a contest and you would reward fans who refer more of their friends, and they can obviously share their contest entry on Facebook and Twitter, so that those fresh leads are effectively coming from the Facebook friends or the Twitter followers of your most avid fans. So it sort of has the dual reward of you're rewarding your most avid fans, the ones that really love the Blue Jackets, but you're introducing new data and new fans into your database. Is that pretty much how?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a perfect description, Sean. Just in a nutshell, right there. I think Dave and has taken that product, have done a tremendous job of really integrating with those social mediums, and allowing people to, if you have a target audience that you're trying to attract with the initial offer, they may only be they may be people that are already in your database, but if you're giving them the incentive to share, every time that it's shared, you're increasing your chance that the people they're sharing with are going to be new to your database. So it's just infinitely valuable because the more people that share, you're essentially reaching out further into the social networks to get people that are essentially like your original customers or the original people that you extended the offer to. So that's worked really well for us from a profiling standpoint. So we're able to get very similar people that we may not have had before in our database and get them a chance to buy tickets.
One thing I think's really important, and I've been having a look at how the Blue Jackets and how you've been using Ticketnet. A lot of people have different tools for data capture, but it's not so much about the tool. It's about leveraging the tool to its full potential, but also the use cases and I guess the ways that you use the tool. And if you look at Ticketnet as a product, you might go, it's a sweepstakes product. That's what we're going to use it for. But it's really around how you set up those campaigns to make them a little bit innovative. You want to tell us a few of the different ways and a few of the different styles of campaigns you've used with Ticketnet, because they're not all public-facing, broad-reach, every fan type of campaigns, are they?
No, I think that's the benefit of it. Is I think the initial part of it is if you want to collect as much data as possible, you have to have a good incentive for people to sign up. So if you want it to be public-facing, I think we've done puck giveaways and really just put it right on our homepage of our website, and that's worked fairly well. So people sign up and they get a puck, and then they have to come to our team store to redeem it. A couple of the ones that have been a little bit concealed and more to our sponsorship audiences is, we would offer a specific sponsor customer, like let's say a Huntington Bank, and Huntington provides their customers with a chance to get tickets to every single one of our home games. So you have to enter the last 4 digits of your Huntington debit card number to get access to select the game. So, that's a contest that, there's a limited amount of inventory. I think Huntington has about 25 pairs of tickets for each game. And, that we get literally 20,000 page views for that in a matter of 30 minutes, and it closes. So it's very well received. It's promoted somewhat publicly, both through Huntington sends an email, and then it's on our Facebook page as well. But it gets a lot of traffic really quick, and what Ticketnet does is it allows us to control the inventory and shut it off once the inventory is gone, so we can manage that from a ticket standpoint.
Yeah, so it's giving a sponsor like Huntington a means, an automatic, out-of-the-box, turnkey sponsorship activation for them to, send out the inventory that they may have bought, whether it be tickets or send out a specific offer to their favourite customers, and really sort of leverage that partnership with the Blue Jackets.
Correct. Yes, it's we've actually gone to Dave and. This isn't anything that wouldn't essentially come out of the box with Ticketnet. We basically have to offer suggestions on, hey, this is what we'd like to do, or, this may have been what we've done before we started using Ticketnet. And really, there's no comparison to the way we might have done things before to where it's gone now. I think it's much better with Ticketnet because of just the way that the process is received, how simple it is for both the user who's submitting their data, and then on the back end for us, when we're helping the people redeem their tickets and things like that, there's a lot fewer issues. So it's more efficient and more effective on our side, definitely.
And from you being a data guy, you're now fishing in their customer pond and getting completely new prospects, because you're not pitching to a hockey audience or to hockey fans. You're pitching to Huntington's customer database.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the sly part of it from my perspective, is anytime you can attach yourself to someone else's database without being considered evil, that's a good thing. So, there's always an incentive, both for the sponsor and us, and we're delighted to have that opportunity, and they really enjoy it too. So it's definitely something that they look forward to every year as part of their sponsorship deal.
Obviously, a big focus of what you're doing is selling tickets and getting people to the games, and doing that broad reach campaign where if you want to get a puck, you've got to come and claim it at the store. Sort of ties digital back to retail and getting people into the stadium. I also saw you also did one from a retail point of view with the guys at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Correct.
In getting them and effectively taking something that's not a digital property and tying them back to an activation. You want to talk us through that one?
Sure. Yeah, that was another example of an idea that came up from the sponsor, and then we took that idea and worked with Dave to create a similar mechanism that Huntington had, where we deliver a piece of inventory at Buffalo Wild Wings during, I would say, our team viewing parties. So we have viewing parties at Buffalo Wild Wings, and then they get a player card, and the player card has a special code on the bottom, and then that code gets redeemed on a Ticketnet site. And from that point forward, we're able to tell if that code is a winner or a loser. If it's a winner, we'll send a winning email. If it's a loser, they'll get a loser email, but it'll say, thanks for participating. You're eligible for the grand prize, so keep coming to more events at Buffalo Wild Wings. So it's probably not on a huge scale as compared to maybe some of the other giveaways and things that we've done, but I mean we're expecting to have thousands of people enter throughout the entire season, and I think it's a great way that we've kind of taken our maybe our traditional viewing party package and really pushed it online and more of a redemption and data capture initiative. So it's worked well for us from that perspective.
I mean, yeah, for mine, I mean, the thing is, it works really well because, a restaurant like them, they're all about, they want people coming to their restaurant and they want to work out how to leverage it. And they might not have the digital presence to be able to say, we want to do data capture and those kind of things. But if you can say, well, we're going to build this site that you can push out and have this relationship where we're going to promote people coming to your venue, and in return, you're getting the data and starting to engage those fans. It's a win-win, even though a partner like Buffalo Wild Wings might not be digitally active. You can still bring them into that space.
Yeah, and that's been a big focus for Buffalo Wild Wings is they want to be more active in the digital space. So this just helps them do that, definitely.
And I think the other sort of use case that you've been using in that sort of concealed mode is employee engagement as a way to allow your sponsors to reward their staff and engage their own staff again by doing ticket giveaways or that, and using Ticketnet as a way to do that rather than sending a standard link and a standard code to everybody, which is a little bit hit and miss, and you don't know if you're going to get the data, and it sort of can get shared everywhere. By sort of putting it in that, using Ticketnet almost as a paywall to say, well, if you want to claim your ticket, go through Ticketnet, and we'll disperse the tickets that way. Again, it's another way for you to get the data and start engaging the staff of your sponsors.
Yes, I think it's been a key component for us. Definitely with we have partners that are basically, I would call them championship partners. So with as being a partner, they get an opportunity 2 or 3 times a year to they basically send an email out to their staff. And in that email, there's a link to redeem tickets. They can redeem up to 4 tickets to an upcoming game. And, it's very similar to the Huntington promotion that I mentioned earlier. Ticketnet does a great job of managing that inventory and really letting us know when we get close to that threshold. But, again, like the amount of action it receives immediately once that email is sent. I mean, I think Dave has said before, like, the page views and everything, like it has a chance to really crash a site. So sometimes he's really done a good job of making sure that doesn't happen, and that the people that are submitting their data and getting the tickets, their experience is a positive one. And, like I said before, like the efficiency of which takes place from the user side to get to the end point of their tickets, and then for us to get them their tickets is drastically improved from, I think the way we did it before was really just lists and things that were kind of out of our control, but this really puts the control on us, and we can manage it a lot better.
I guess the other thing, and part of your job is, in the CRM and data analytics, is leaning on guys like Mark Gregory, is the VP of Digital Marketing, and JD Kershaw in the Blue Jackets, in working on campaigns that they're running in engaging the fans to make sure you're getting new data. How has that relationship developed, and how have they found? How's the response from the average digital fans for the Blue Jackets on running these kind of activations?
I think it's been tremendous. We're a pretty close-knit group, so a lot of the initiatives that we talk about with Mark and JD, and even Marcus Stevenson, our director of digital media, we incorporate all of our campaigns through traditional means, social means, and digital means, and really try to have focus across them all. But the key point being, we intersperse it with a sales message, but also try to engage the customer and potentially collect data. I mean, I think if you can collect data, sometimes I can make a case based on our statistics and research that it's more effective than that initial sale up front. So if you can collect 1,000 pieces of data and only get 10 people to buy, then that 1,000 pieces of data is going to be worth more than what those 10 people bought for over the long run. So starting to change the way we think a little bit, and I think it's been very well received. And I think, honestly, like Ticketnet really helps prove that, because you have to offer that incentive up front, and it just makes it much easier to track and much easier to analyze once you get that list of people that are interested in your product.
Yeah, it is very important, especially on that initial impression that you're making on a new prospect, is that you don't sell them straight away. You want to be showing them value, delivering, building on that relationship, and then once they are sort of starting to get emotionally tied into the team, and that gets built upon by the work that gets done in social and the communication you're doing, then you can make the sale, because they're starting to buy into the story that is the Blue Jackets.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly right, Sean. Great point.
So, things like Ticketnet does a great job of getting the data in. What kind of, it pumps the data, and you would load it into Microsoft CRM. What kind of streams do you have coming out of that from a new prospect comes in? What kind of process do you put them in to say, now they're in our system, what are they going to start getting from a ticket offer point of view, or telling them the message, a newsletter? What's a sort of normal scenario? Do you have several different scenarios depending on where the data comes from?
Yeah, I think the Ticketnet data is essentially, it's proven its worth over time. So we'll really take that, do a little bit of analyzation, and we actually collect some data up front too as the people are registering within the promotion. We'll ask them if they've been to a game before. We'll ask them their favorite player, sometimes their favorite opponent. So then we can either put them in a campaign if we got that opponent coming up, or if there's a player appearance coming up. We identify that in our database. But more importantly, like, these people are, if they've signed up for the contest to receive a free tickets, they're interested in the brand. So we want to just use Ticketnet to kind of help open up the conversation that one of our sales reps will have. So we just tell the rep, this person signed up for a ticket promotion, and if they submitted within the last 6 months, you can circumvent the do not call. So we just we let them call them within that time frame. It's probably closer to within a couple weeks of the contest, and then campaign from there. A couple of the other sources where we get data we may not throw right into campaigns, but it just kind of depends where it comes from. But the Ticketnet data is, that's pretty much some of the best leads that we will have. So we make sure we take care of those leads right away.
Okay. My last question is around just Microsoft CRM, and there was a lot of discussion at SEAT in Kansas City this year of, how much, you can leverage Microsoft CRM. How much do you have your guys still trying to extract different types of lists, still using a little bit of Excel to try to find the right thing? How much do you feel like that you're leveraging all that data that you've got in there as much as you can at the moment?
we could always do better, I think, is what I would say. We're novices probably when it comes to SQL and getting really technical on the backside of the Microsoft CRM database. But we're pretty dangerous with Microsoft Excel and kind of exporting fields and analyzing data that we already have in there. We use a lot of Axiom data, and we'll append Personix clusters to our leads as well. So we're always analyzing, what does our ticket buyer look like, and what does this new lead look like, and how closely does it profile against our current customer. We use Turnkey Prospector and develop star ratings as well. So we're really kind of analyzing from that front, but more surface level things. I mean, if there's just not enough hours in the day for us to get into all the data that we have, but I think we're pretty dangerous with what we have with Excel and Turnkey and some of the Axiom data. But there's just so much out there. That's kind of the hard thing sometimes, is really trying to quantify what you want to look for and how you're going to go about doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is diving into the data, getting enough that you can run campaigns off, and following what is succeeding. So if you're getting success, you can get a bit of analysis paralysis if you're diving into the data too much. You've always got to extract it and actually go do and run those campaigns. But there's definitely opportunities to slice the data any which way. But you've still got to run those campaigns and sell tickets. I mean, in the end, that's your bottom line.
Yeah, exactly. And then you try to figure out why did this person buy, and how can we find more people like them.
Well, thank you very much for the chat on the podcast, Jeff. Very interesting. I look forward to seeing a few more of the campaigns that you run, and hopefully I'll see you at SEAT in Miami next year.
Yeah, what a location. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate your time, and if there's anything I can ever do for you, let me know.
Want to maximize returns from your digital team? Contact SportsGeek about content and commercialization workshop.
Thanks again to Jeff Eldersfeld from the Columbus Blue Jackets for talking a little bit about how they're using Ticketnet. And as I said, I know Dave Jolene, who built Ticketnet, and he was good enough to provide me with that introduction to Jeff. If you want a demo or want me to take you through and walk you through how Ticketnet works, more than happy to do so. I'm helping Dave pitch it out there into the Australian and international market. So if anyone is actually listening and wants some more information, just go to sportsgeekhq.com/Ticketnet. I'm happy to set up a demo and walk you through some of the different options. That wraps up another episode 25 of the Sports Geek podcast. So again, thank you very much for helping me to get to episode 25. Absolutely thrilled with the response so far. This week's social media post of the week, I'm actually going to look back at last week, and we had Richard Clark from Arsenal on talking about his Twitter takeovers, and in the last week they actually had Arsene Wenger, the manager of Arsenal, on their Twitter takeover. So the post of the week is their short little video that they posted on Facebook. So it's a really good example of repurposing content, putting it on different platforms. There was some, obviously when you do something on Twitter, you will get a few comedians come out of the woodwork and ask some questions, but obviously Arsenal fans love being able to get that closer access to their manager. So well done, Rich, and you guys win. I don't think if you win anything, but yes, the social media post of the week. Same goes, if you see an Instagram, Facebook post, tweet, a Vine from one of your, either one that you've done yourself or from a team or a colleague, please send them in either via email, the old-fashioned way, Sean@sportsgeekhq.com, or just send me a tweet at Sean Callanan, and be happy to profile a new and different social media post of the week each week. So that countdown clock tells me that it's nearly the end of the show, and I have to remember to dedicate this episode, episode 25. Went to the Google machine to find athletes that wore the number 25. Came up with two prime candidates that both have a little bit of stink about them, and a bit of controversy about them, and that would be Mark Maguire and Barry Bonds, who sort of went through the, I guess, a very poor period in baseball. So I'm award this episode to Barry Bonds just for his achievements alone. Whether they were assisted or not, I'm not going to start a debate here. This week's Sounds of the Game clip. Very thankful for my good friend, the Minnesota Timberwolves CMO, Ted Johnson. I asked him to grab a clip from the Target Center. Congratulations, Ted, for getting the renovations approved. It'll be good to see the Target Center get a bit of a refresh, but it has been great to see Kevin Love and Ricky Rubio on the floor at the same time. So I asked Ted to grab a clip. He didn't actually grab a clip in stadium with his phone, and if you are out there and you're at a game over the weekend or whenever, please take your phone out and grab a clip, grab the sounds of the game. I'm more than happy to share it on the podcast. But in this instance, Ted just called to the guys in T-Wolves TV department and sent a clip, and this is the Minnesota Timberwolves and Kevin Love starring.
Wolves are down 103-100. The inbound to Love. Oh my goodness! Kevin drains the three from the left angle to tie the game with 10.1 left. Love exhorts the crowd. He comes back to the bench. The Wolves have tied it up right off the inbound. How about that?
How about that indeed? And that wraps up episode 25. Go to sportsgeekhq.com for all the show notes and links. And as always, if you want to get in touch, Sean at sportsgeekhq.com. Now, closing 2 cents, a big thanks to Francis Leach and Daniel Harford. Without their involvement inviting me on to be on their radio shows, this podcast would not be around. So big thanks, guys.
Find all Sports Geek podcasts at sportsgeekhq.com/SGP. Please leave a review on iTunes. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/iTunes. Like the Sports Geek podcast? Find us on facebook.com/sportsgeek. Thanks for listening to the Sports Geek Podcast.